So let me see here really quick. I'm just seeing this really quickly on the fly. So as far as Broncos, I mean, I'm sure Zach Allen.
Got to be Zach Allen, Nick Bonito, Pat Surtain. Who else do we have in there? I would say, is that about it?
Well,
if you're just
hold on.
guessing?
I'm sorry. I'm doing this on the fly.
No, don't worry. We're just doing a live radio show. So
I know.
Just take your time.
Well,
just take your time. Why would you bring it up if you if you're not even have anything? You're like, oh, just wait up here. I'll get it to you in 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. You want to be snarky like that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right. Then I shouldn't have brought it up then.
No,
okay.
you shouldn't have brought it up until you had the names.
I know.
Oh,
okay, fine.
Wait, let me help you out, Mike. Settle down. Let me help you out. We can play who we think.
Okay.
And then hopefully by that time you can have the guys. Zach Allen, Nick Bonito, and Pat Surtain. Those would be the locks for me. Now, do you have a guy like DJ Jones or John Franklin Myers that sneaks in there?
Okay.
That's a possibility. What about a Jonathan Cooper? He's had a good year, so probably not, though. And the White Shadow obviously didn't do himself any favors with the injury or his performance last game.
Okay, so here are your AFC. Nobody on offense, of course, from the Broncos. That's no surprise.
I think the one guy you could have said maybe was Cortland Sutton, possibly.
Right.
And he still might when you have some dropouts because he's had a good year. No offensive lineman. Really?
No.
Really?
No.
Does that surprise you? It
Just
surprises
two.
me
Two
a
guys.
little bit.
Two guys made it. You want to get switched to?
Two guys. What do you mean two guys? For the whole team?
Yeah, two guys.
Well, it's Pat Surtain, and it's wow. Well, it's Pat Surtain for sure.
Okay.
It's got to be Nick Bonito.
It's Nick Bonito.
It's got to be.
It's Nick Bonito.
Wow.
Zach
Zach Allen?
Wow, I'm sorry. I know everybody howls about certain things and, the whole idea of the snub and all that, but come on. Zach Allen, that's a snub. That's a major snub. The guys on the defensive line, you had defensive end Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby, and then Cam Hayward, Chris Jones, and who's the dude from Baltimore? Nnamdi Madubuike.
Good job.
But no Zach Allen.
Okay, well, whatever.
Did anybody see Zach Allen's performance against Cincinnati where he was what do you have, 3.5 sacks or something like that? I mean, the guy was amazing.
Votes were already casted too late.
Yeah,
that's true. That 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay.
I really don't care about the Pro Bowl. I think it's dumb. I think.
It's dumb.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's terrible. Half these guys won't play. You'll have like 100 guys make the Pro Bowl because you'll have 50 guys drop out. And then so you'll have
I know.
So you'll have guys that really didn't make the Pro Bowl will be considered Pro Bowlers. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it just got watered down. That's why I say that.
I'm sorry, 3 Broncos.
Oh my goodness! I gave you all that time.
I know.
And you still
I know. I still butchered it. Marvin Mims made it as the return.
I thought you were going to tell me. Never mind. Zach Allen made it.
No. Marvin Mims made it as well. So
good for him.
There you go. 2
years in a row for him.
Well, yeah, and I was not happy with him early on in the season. I thought he was running kind of tentatively on his returns and everything like that, but he's really picked it up over the second half of the season, and I think he's extremely deserving of that. So good job, Marvin Mims, Patrick Surtain, and Nick Bonito, Bronco Pro Bowl representatives. 3 Broncos making the AFC roster. There'll probably be more on the roster as guys drop out. Who knows? Maybe even Bo Nix ends up being a Pro Bowler. Wouldn't surprise me.
No.
By the way, really quick, no Patrick Mahomes as a Pro Bowler. Your 3 quarterbacks were Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. I think you got it right. Mahomes did not have a Pro Bowl caliber season.
Right, and I guarantee if you ask Mahomes, he'd say, yeah, those guys are deserving. He didn't have the year that those guys had. So it's hard. I mean, you look at those the AFC quarterbacks. I mean, yeah, someone's going to be left out.
Let us bring in, no surprise, he beats Mark Schlereth to the table here because he's a hard charger and he works hard. He's a pro. Joel's a pro. Joel Klatt joins us now, brought to us by Dave & Buster's. Hello, Joel. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. What's going on, guys?
We're doing great. And have you come down off of the high yet of calling Syracuse's Holiday Bowl win over Washington State?
I don't think you can come down off of that high, Mike. I mean, I think I'll always remember that one. Probably just stick right in the forefront of my mind the rest of my career.
Winners wash, my man. Go ahead, Stoke.
Hey, Joe, I got to ask you, man. The game yesterday, Arizona State, to me, the Texas game, it was clear targeting there late in the game that should have been called against Texas. It seems like the rules get changed when the games matter more. And it looked like it was helmet to helmet, defenseless receiver. They review it. And I think if that's in the regular season, it's targeting, 15-yard penalty, the guy's kicked out of the game. I don't agree with the enforcement of these rules, but to me, if you have the rules in place, you call it in the regular season, you got to continue to follow through with it, even when the games matter a little bit more. What were your thoughts on that non-targeting call?
Yeah, first of all, it was 1,000% targeting the way that they've written the rule. There's two ways. You can strike with the crown of the helmet. That's one way, or you can forcibly make contact with a player that's deemed defenseless in the head or neck area. That receiver is going to get defenseless protection because he's continuing in the manner of finishing the catch. He's certainly struck in the head or neck area. And so it's absolutely targeting. Now, here's the thing, because it brings up this idea of like, well, should we be calling penalties like late in the game? Well, generally speaking, I'm of the belief that I would rather the official kind of swallow the whistle late on things that could probably be called on any play, and this is any sport as well, like basketball, a ticky-tack hand check. I'd rather them play through it. In football, I don't want to see some lame holding call, called late. There's going to be contact between the defensive back and the wide receiver that's going on all day long. And so I just want some sort of consistency in there. And generally speaking, I'd rather the official kind of let the teams play and decide it on the field. Now, that being said, this wasn't called on the field. So in college, they can initiate a review even if there's no penalty on the targeting issue. So they initiated a review. Now, in college football, here's how it works, guys. When they initiate a review for targeting, whether the penalty is thrown or if they just, call down and say, hey, we're going to take a look at this, it's the only thing in review in our sport that they just totally re-officiate. Everything else in review, it matters what was called on the field, and you're trying to either confirm or have indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field. But when it comes to targeting, it's actually a blank slate in review, and they're supposed to just review it as if, like, we are putting it on from the review booth. So at that point, guys, once review initiates that whole process, then it's letter of the law. Now you can't tell me you're going to swallow the whistle because it means more at that point, because you're reviewing the entirety of the play. So it is or it isn't at that point. It's not some ticky-tack holding call or defensive, contact or holding or something along those lines. Now it becomes letter of the law because you initiated the review. It was 1,000% targeting. I thought Arizona State got really screwed because of it.
All right, I think we have Mark. Hello, Mark.
Yeah.
Good
Mark,
morning.
Are you going to speak up, Mark?
Yeah, no, I was trying to speak. You guys didn't put me on.
Well, you're
I
on.
love this.
You're on.
Look at
Okay,
this.
hey,
Let's
Joel,
go.
by the way, I 100%
We got
agree.
trouble
I
at
think it was
home
great.
here. This is incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting.
Exactly. Right. So I thought the explanation was great. I appreciate that. Scatterbo, what's his future? Is he an NFL, in your mind, is he an NFL player?
I mean, the way he played yesterday, 38 touches. Are you kidding? And Texas has a really good defensive front. Now, he was just kind of running through it. Now, I don't think that style would have a lot of longevity at the NFL level because he was like Rocky yesterday, and at the end of the game, just like battered to a point where you're like, how is he standing? And yet he's still standing somehow and falling over with Apollo at the same time. It was, his performance was incredible. He's certainly talented enough, Mark, to go into the National Football League and really impact positively whatever team takes him. The problem is his style is not going to last long in the NFL. This guy is, let's just put it this way, and I think we can say this. I don't know about the statute of limitations, this guy is the epitome of the all balls football Friday, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks in that mirror and he's like, I am all balls in these Jays.
Amen.
And that type of style, I don't know if he would physically be able to last, but boy, I can't wait to find out.
Joel Klatt joined us, presented by Dave & Buster's in Denver. Was losing to Michigan the best thing that could have possibly happened to Ohio State?
I mean, I think maybe it was, although with that fan base, you have to understand that even if they win the national championship, they will put their own asterisks on this type of a season.
Really?
Yes. I mean, guys, it's more important than winning the national championship.
Is it?
Wow.
Seriously?
Yes.
So you're telling me
yeah.
that Ohio State fan, rank and file, would choose a win over Michigan rather than winning this college football playoff championship?
I think they would have to have a long debate about that. I think they would really think about that. Yeah, it's different. I think some would take the national championship, some would take a win over Michigan, and I think that the way that it's happened the last few years, and especially this year, that was wild. Like the team we just saw dismantle Oregon lost to Michigan at home. I can't believe that happened. That was like 4 hours of Twilight Zone. But to your point, you know, as bad as that loss was, I believe that it totally changed the trajectory of what they wanted to do with that offense. And you guys have seen Chip Kelly for a lot of years, and we've seen Ryan Day for a lot of years. And there was this idea that Ryan bringing in Chip, that it was the same offense. And so like, oh, this is going to be seamless. It's the same offense. But, Mark, as you remember from Chip's time in the NFL, Chip's not a very dynamic passing game coach. Very good in the run game, but not as dynamic in the passing game. And Chip has always been a run-first coach. And this offense tried to force that through the regular season, even through two devastating injuries on the offensive line. Their left tackle, Simmons, who's going to be a first-rounder, and an All-American caliber center. So you get those two guys out of the game, and then they kept trying to run the ball first, and it didn't work. They really struggled against Nebraska, who've got good defensive tackles. They really struggled, obviously, against Michigan. And since that Michigan game, they went back to like the Ryan Day school of offense, which is let's throw it first and be dynamic in the passing game and then pop big runs later in the game, which is exactly what's going on. So in the last two games, I think that we've seen the best combination of Ryan Day's offense and Chip Kelly's offense. And if they play like that, they're going to win the whole thing. Like no one's beating the team that we just watched in the Rose Bowl. That team's incredible.
Wow. Joel, the game today got postponed from yesterday. How do you see this one going?
Well, first and foremost, I think that we can get enamored with the logos at some point with Georgia. But this Georgia team is not nearly what it has been over the last few years. Let me give you like a stat that would probably blow your mind. In SEC play, they were, I think, 15th out of 16 running the football on offense. They also led the country in drops at the wide receiver position. So, like, this offense is not a great offense. Now they're going to lose their starting quarterback, Carson Beck, who's out for the year. He had that elbow injury, he had surgery, and so now you're going to tell me, like, all of a sudden Gunnar Stockton is going to make them better? Like, come on, that's not a thing. Those are bulldog-colored glasses, if that's the way that you feel. So this defense is going to have to be incredible. The only problem is that the kryptonite for the Georgia defense is a quarterback that can get loose with his legs. We saw it against Jalen Milroe in the first half of the Alabama loss early in the year. We saw it late with Haynes King from Georgia Tech, basically taking them to a brink, in that 4 overtime game in Athens. And now, all of a sudden, Riley Leonard from Notre Dame and this run game with Jeremiah Love is going to be out there, and I think that they're going to play well. Notre Dame's got a very good defense, one of the better defenses in the country. I think Notre Dame's the better team, and I think that they win the game. If you're put it this way, Haynes King, basically put Georgia Tech on his back and almost won the game. And Riley Leonard is a much better version of Haynes King. So I think Notre Dame wins the game. And I think Notre Dame and Penn State play in the semifinal.
Speaking of Penn State, crushing Boise State, are they going to change the Boise State? Boise State sucks. They shouldn't get a bye. Go, Joel. What the?
Now, come on, you're not very objective in this here, Mark. Now, come on, there's a certain bias coming through here.
I'm undefeated against Boise State. I've never lost to Boise State. They stink.
Here's the
Why do they
thing:
get a bye?
the Boise people are going to say like, "Oh man, we left so much on the table. We should have been, 24-21. We scored a touchdown that got called back by a penalty." But in actuality, the only reason they were in the game is because Penn State allowed them to be in the game. Honestly, like Penn State's going to run them out of the building, and then Andy Kotelnicki, their offensive coordinator, decides that he wants to become a passing team. And it's like, what are you doing? Katron Allen's running for 8.5 yards per carry. Like, just give him the ball, and you're going to be up 2, 3, 4 scores quickly. He turned it into a passing game way before he needed to. And Boise, one of the things they do well is rush the quarterback. They do it really well. In fact, they led the country in total sacks. No one really knows that, but they did. The fact of the matter is, though, is that Penn State wanted to take away Ashton Jeanty. They did. They wanted to run the football. They did. And then they went away from it. That game could have gotten out of hand. I personally believe, and this isn't going to shock you at all, Mark, you're welcome. I believe Group of Five should go play their own national championship. I really do. I think trying to include them in this playoff is, I think it's avoiding litigation is what it is. That's all they're doing because they don't want to get sued. So they make this thing and it's like, well, look, we're allowing them to come along. And it's like, well, it waters it down. It's not good for the sport. And in particular, when you give them a bye and then a team, Penn State, who loses to Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, all of a sudden gets a more favorable draw to the semifinal because they get to host SMU and play Boise versus Oregon, who goes undefeated in the regular season, wins the Big Ten championship. And what do they get? Not a home game. No. Hey, go down to the Rose Bowl and face Jeremiah Smith in Ohio State. You're welcome, Dan Lanning.
I could talk college football with you all morning long, but I do want to pivot to the Broncos. Two-part question for you here, Joel. Over these last 3 games coming out of the bye, have you seen anything from Bo Nix that concerns you? And the second part to the question, a lot of scrutiny and a lot of complaining about Sean Payton's play calling. Sean Payton is a play caller this year. What do you think? Those two questions. I
was frustrated late in that game against Cincinnati. I almost threw something at my TV when I might botch this situation here, but I believe they had, it was like 3rd and 8 or 9 on that one of those last series. And, they've got a chance basically to go win the game. And they've got a chance to go stay on the field, go to the playoffs. And he throws it short of the sticks, right? Are you guys following me on
That's the one
this?
with Adam Troutman coming across the middle there?
Yeah.
First possession in overtime. Second possession in overtime, excuse me.
And I'm just like, what are we doing? So I don't know, man. That type of stuff drives me nuts, and I didn't love that play call. I think Bo's playing really well. I think that he makes a few mistakes here and there. I think the lack of quality defense in the last couple of weeks has been alarming, to be honest with you. I mean, when you give up, what was it, 34 to the Chargers, 30 to the Bengals, you're not going to win many games. If you look at the winning percentage of anybody in the NFL, when you're giving up 30-plus points, and it's going to be really low. So the defense has to play better. I'd love to see them get a little bit better run game, which they don't have. I mean, heck, guys, their leading rusher, Javonte Williams doesn't even have 500 yards on the year. So what Bo is doing is actually pretty remarkable. I might be a Bo Nix apologist. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. But for a guy that's a rookie who's not getting much from a help standpoint in the run game, and whose defense has all of a sudden decided to give up 30-plus points in 3 of the last 4 games, that's a problem. And I don't think it's Bo's problem. I think Broncos have to get better around him.
Joel, last game of the season here on Sunday against the Chiefs. They're sitting guys. Any concern there going into the game Sunday?
I mean, always a concern, because you got to go win it. You got to go win it. Let's face it, they haven't been very good against better competition. If you look at what they've done this season, they've had a good year, right? I mean, they're 9-7. Here they are. They're sitting here with a chance to go to the playoffs. And you look at their losses, and it's like, okay, on the road, Seattle, Steelers are decent, Chargers twice, Bengals, Chiefs, Ravens. Like, they don't beat anybody good. All of their wins, maybe you could argue like the Bucs win was a really solid win on the road, but that's my concern, is like this would be a bit of an anomaly because against the better competition on their schedule, they have not fared very well. But maybe the way that Kansas City is approaching the game, I think maybe that helps them out quite a bit, and they can go get a win. Let's hope that they can.
When they do get into the playoffs, Joel, do you see them winning a game in the playoffs, or this is kind of a one and done, like we've exceeded expectations?
I think it's a one and done, and they've exceeded expectations because of what I was, just alluding to. Mark, they haven't really shown the ability to rise up and beat someone that's really good. Other than playing the Chiefs really well in Kansas City, that 16-14 game, I don't know, man. I don't love their options if the defense is going to start giving up 30-plus points.
Joel, last one, real quick, maybe 30, 45 seconds. Does the CU performance in their bowl game take any shine off their regular season?
No, man. I mean, think about where they were and where we are. And I'm just grateful for the time that Travis was there. We got to watch a great quarterback in Shedeur, and they put this program on a path to sustain success, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
Joel, great to have you on. Happy New Year. Thank you to everything you have done and continue to do for us. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
You got it, guys. Have a great New Year.
Joel Klatt, presented by Dave & Buster's in Denver, your ultimate destination for football all season long. Lots to react to, but the idea of moving